everyone, so I was requested by this person on screen to do a tutorial for tiers. Do note that this is for Live2D. If you use Live2D, this tutorial will absolutely work for you, but if you use any other program, the only difference is that you'll have to manually animate them instead of having parameters like I do over here. So, first of all, you want to have separated the tiers from this. So like this is the actual tier, right? The one that falls. But the top is just there to make it look more, I guess, realistic. So that you do need to have separated if you want it to work. So I named them like R tier top, L tier top. And of course, I got face shadows named layer 6, but I digress. So you want to select all of these, right? And you want to do auto. Now, if you want to do your own personal meshes, you absolutely can. I'm not going to stop you. So, yeah, there we go. That's all meshed so that it can be properly dealt with. So we're going to go ahead and take care of face shadow. I know this is really just not in the tutorial, but face shadow, we'll just get that out of the way so that it's not, in the way. So you want to like just grab the face shadow itself and do these two, not the three, the two, and you'll see that it makes two. So on this one, on the left one, on negative 30.0, which will be, as you see here, you set your default to negative 30. I also want to note for IDs, you do want to name them. Okay, don't be lazy and don't name them. Like, I have all of them named. This is because you're going to export this as a CAN3. In order to do that, you do have to name your parameter IDs so that you can put it on safely. That way, you won't have problems. Okay? And if you want to see what the problems are, be my guest. So, yeah. You just opacity 0. And there you go. Simple as that. So, we'll have it on 0. That way it's out of the way. So, just reset the default parameter. Now, tier opacity. You're not going to do these just as it is. You'll know why. So, you want to grab all of these and you want to create a warp deformer, not a rotation deformer, a warp deformer, and name it whatever you want, but I'm going to name it all tiers. And you probably want to go ahead and create another warp deformer. I meant to do that before this one. So you're going to make it all, because this is going to be how you, when you drag it onto your character, you're going to have to resize it because it's going to be big, right? So you want that to just work. So if you do that, as you see, face shadow is not on that. So we're going to connect it to all, right? So there you go. And then you can, resize, So that's that taken care of. That you do want to do beforehand. Unlike me, who didn't do it beforehand and just had to go through a little bit more extra steps to do this. Anyway, so you're going to do the same thing you did for face shadow here. You're basically going to select 2, and your default will be, well, it was supposed to be negative 30. It's going to be negative 30. That way, so your default, like if you reset the default values, nothing will be here. Now, if you had it on like 30, it'd be here. If you had it on 0, well, I'm just going to tell you, it'd look pretty weird. So, there we go. Now, what you're going to do now is you're going to do the forms. Now, you don't have to do this. I personally don't really use them too much, but I use them if I want to. And they're just there for me if I want to. So you're going to just turn off the visibility for the tiers for now. Okay. Oh. Meant to Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the L tier top, right? And so you're going to do 3 this time, and your default is going to be 0. Okay? So now you're probably wondering, what is L tier form? So it's basically how the tiers move around, right? So for 30, you want to use the deform brush tool, okay? And you're going to make it like deformed, basically, if that makes any sense. So for here, I'm going to make it smaller, right? So it looks like it's moving. And then for here, I'm going to try to make it bigger. So that's a little bit harder to do, but you can get it done. Yeah, that's, it's okay. If you want to, you can make it look however you want and it'll look great, I promise. Again, I barely use those, so it don't really matter to me how they look. So, and then you're going to do the same, but for me, I'm going to do the opposite of what I did. But if you want to do the same, you absolutely can. So I'm going to make it like opposite. So instead of big, it's going to be small here. There we go. So that's that done. Okay. So now what you want to do is you want to get to tiers, right? So get that back on. And you're going to want the tier tops on for this part. Unlock the other part. So basically, you're going to do the same thing, right? But for here, you're going to be moving it down. Like, you're going to be moving the tier down to the bottom of the face. And then as you see, it doesn't really look like it's fading out like what mine are. So at the 30.0 point, you're going to put the opacity to 0. So it looks like as it's falling, it's fading out of existence, basically. And that is what you want. That looks good. So you want to do the same for the right tier. And you're going to like basically mirror it. Do the same thing. And there you go. So you're probably wondering how we animate this. I will show you. Alright, now we've got him in the animation, and how you basically do that is File, New Animation, and then I usually click Video because you can use form animation in this, but if you want to do SDK Unity or SDK, you absolutely can. No one's stopping you, but I just use Video. So there you go. Right. So you're going to want to make sure all your parameters are like keyformed. So you're going to click and then Control. I don't know if that's the same on Mac because I'm using Mac, I'm using Windows, but if it is, cool. So we're going to go ahead and make the face shadow apparent, and we're going to make the tiers opacity. And then you're going to basically do that, like click this and then click away, and that's how you get a keyform. Easy, or if you really wanted, you could just click and there you go. So you're going to do that, and then basically you're just going to do that. Right. It looks like the tears are falling. To do this in another app, you would basically do the same thing as I just did, but you wouldn't have parameters. So you'd have to do it manually, which sucks, but that's how other programs are. So, and if you want to do the L tier form, right, do the same thing, space them apart because it looks better. Do that. I want to go back a bit. I'm going to do that. Yeah. And then you can basically loop this. So I'm going to try to do that, and I'll show you the problem here if you try to do that without doing what you got to do. It looks like the tears are going back up, and you do not want that. You do not want that. So what you're going to do is basically after it falls, you're going to bring it right back up. So you're going to do that so that it's like that again. Yeah, there we go. Now, I don't really know a way of how to not make it look kind of weird like that, but this is just how I do it. So, you know. And then you just do the same for this that way. You know, you don't have the same problem as before. So there you go. Now, you could just loop this over and over again. So how much I space it? I usually would space it 2. So I'll just do it like that. Yeah, there we go. See? Look, he's crying. Why? He's crying, right? He's crying, guys. Yeah, successful crying animation. Wow, shocker. So, how you're going to export this, if you don't know how to export in Live2D, that's absolutely fine. I'll show you right now. You're going to go to File, Export Image/Video, and then you can do a GIF animation, or you can do a video. I'm going to do a video. GIF would be the exact same thing. So, for me, I'm going to have to click Show Canvas. You don't have to do Live2D logo, but, you know, all of the settings will work just fine, you know. Okay. And then I'm going to name it Ryan Crying. It works. So you're going to let that export, and of course this is a very short animation, so it'll be fast, but depending on how big your animations are, it may take longer. For me, it definitely takes longer than this to export a scene. My computer's really good. So, there you go. So I'll show the final video at the end, and that is basically just how you do it. It's definitely not that hard. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully I explained it well. I don't really do tutorials, especially stuff like this, you know. I don't really get asked to do tutorials, so I just figured, well, I mean, I didn't think people would care all that much about tears. So, you know, but it's okay. I absolutely love helping you guys, and I'm not one to gatekeep information unlike others. So, yeah, that's all. Episode 3 is coming out soon. We're getting there. I slowly getting there. Stuff happened, you know, that kind of drained me, but I'll be fine. So, yeah. Have a great day, everyone, and goodbye.